Hi, I'm Katrina Kramlich from Inspired Spectrums, and in this video we're going to talk about joining, or what to do when your student is not paying attention to you. So if you ever have a time where you're trying to talk to your student or get him to play a game and he's just not involved, he's not looking at you, he's not talking to you, he's not responding to you in any way, then that's pretty obvious that he's then exclusive. Now sometimes kids might just go blank. They might just stare at the wall. They might be doing something that are not actually doing anything. They may just be being exclusive. Most of the times though, they're doing something that is repetitive and exclusive to them. So it might be a stim. They might be shaking their hands and looking at it. They might be lining up cars. They might be spinning in circles. They might be flipping through the pages of a book. They might be dropping something over and over again. So sometimes there's something involved in it. Other times there's not. Sometimes it's very physical. Sometimes with objects. So really the way to tell is, are they interacting with you? Are they wanting to be with you in that moment? Are they responding to you in any way? And if the answer is no, then the best technique is for you to join. And joining is, I like to think of it as joining in their activity or joining in their game. Whatever they're doing is something that is exciting to them for whatever reason. Maybe it's fulfilling a sensory need, or perhaps it's just something that's motivating for them. But for whatever reason, and we're going to get more into this, they can't be with you at that moment. They're choosing to take care of themselves and something that's interesting to them. So you are going to respect that and build your relationship with them by joining in with that activity. You'll do your own version of that activity somewhere else. Usually across the room. You want to face them so that they can still see you, but you want to do that somewhere else across the room so that they still have their space to do their thing and you can do yours. So, and what I just love joining. Sorry, so I'll just be excited over and over again, but all children naturally join each other in order to form a relationship and start playing with each other. And you can watch this out on the playground. But if one child is wanting to do something with another child, oftentimes they'll just start doing it with them. Like, for example, my daughters, we were at this movie the other day, and they started running across to the picnic table. And this little boy came in, and he just started running with them. And eventually they started talking, but at first he just came in and started running with them. And then the game went from there. So a lot of times children will naturally join in with each other as the first step of play. But children with autism, because of their sensory difficulties, because of their processing delays, they don't have a lot of opportunities to really practice this skill with other children, which is why I love what we're doing here in the playroom, because we're really breaking down all of the social skills into really small bite-sized steps that are going to be really easy for your student to learn. So by joining, we are starting the first process of having a relationship by doing what another person is doing, right? And a lot of people sort of don't really get the concept of joining at first, don't really get the power of the concept of joining at first. It's like, really? I just do what they're doing? That's somehow supposed to help? And even though it sounds a little different, it actually works really, really well. And mostly because you're just forming this relationship with another person. So let me give you a little example of what joining, how it feels to be joined versus a different method, perhaps trying to distract somebody or trying to get them to stop their stimming behavior. Okay, let me give you an example of this because this always really helps people understand. So I'm going to give an example where you yourself are stimming, and I'm actually going to use the TV as your stim object, which I really don't recommend, but I'm just doing it because most adults are familiar with that stim object as a way to relax. So bear with me. But let's say you've had a really stressful day at the office or at school with your kids, and all the kids were being crazy that day. It was a full moon or something, and they were all bouncing off the walls, and it was just insane. Nobody was listening. And then you come home, and your own kids were being crazy that day, and it was just a crazy day. But finally, it's the end of the day. Finally, you have some time to yourself. You've sort of carved out this little niche in which you feel like you're done. You're done for the day. You're just going to relax. And thank God, because your favorite TV show is on and you've been dying to watch it. So everything's done in your mind. You're going to do this. You just need to take the time right now to watch this show. And you start watching it. And It is just as good as you were hoping. And you are just finally starting to relax. The tension is easing away. Thank goodness for this time. And in walks your husband. Maybe somebody else, but for me, I'm going to use the husband. And your husband comes over and he says, hey, wait a second. Look at this. The schedule says it's time for us to do dishes right now. You just did dinner, I did this, and now it's this, and now it's time for you to do dishes. So come on, get up. It's time for you to do dishes. Now you've already had the craziest day. You don't even want to deal with this fellow, so you're just going to ignore him and watch your TV in bliss. He, on the other hand, thinks you're not paying attention to him. And so he comes right over and gets right up in your face, and he's like, hello, it's time for you to do the dishes. Come on, focus. Look at me. Look at me. We're going to go do the dishes. Schedule says, let's go. It's time to do the dishes. You're getting pretty frustrated, but you're just going to keep ignoring your husband. Husband, on the other hand, the schedule says it's time for her to do the dishes. She's not paying attention to me. This is not working. Oh, I know. I'll take away her stim toy. He goes over, he takes the remote. He says, listen, it's time for you to do the dishes right now. And he turns off your TV. Now, if you haven't already hit your husband, which you shouldn't, but you're probably really thinking about it, right? Now, let's imagine, same scenario, but slightly different, okay? You had the craziest day again. Everybody was insane, going all over, not listening to you, okay? But still, same thing. End of the day, you finally have some time for yourself. You've sort of carved out this niche of time, and you're able to relax and just focus. And you feel the tension easing out of your body. You're finally starting to feel like yourself again. And this time, your husband walks in. He sees that you're mentally checked out. He sees that you're not really able to take him in at this moment, and he leaves you alone. In fact, he goes over and he pops some popcorn, pours a drink, and he brings it over to you. He sits down right next to you, and he watches your show with you. In fact, he seems like he enjoys it. He laughs at the funny parts. He cries at the sad parts. You guys are forming a bond together doing what you love. You really appreciate the fact that he's doing this for you. After you guys finish the show, you start talking about it. You start talking about what you loved and what was weird and all the different things about the show. And you get up and you talk while you do the dishes together. Sounds like a totally different experience, right? It's the same for our children. We've already talked about their sensory systems. We've already talked about how a lot of things can be really overwhelming for them. Well, we've really found, and even more so in recent years, we've really discovered as children are able to write out their feelings, and as children have grown up and been able to reflect back, a lot of these stimming behaviors, these times when they're exclusive, they really are trying to take care of themselves. Sensory overload has really already occurred, and they're just shutting down to take care of themselves. Right? Whatever these motions they're doing, whatever it is, they're doing these repetitive, controllable movements that are making their world make more sense to them. And what I love about what we're going to be doing in this therapy is we're going to take that step one step further, because not only are we going to let them have that time to take a break and to self-regulate and get themselves back into the optimal state, we're going to use this time fully, and we're going to do whatever they're doing with them. And I told you, I love joining. It's just such the best technique, and more therapies are starting to do it in more and more ways. But there are 4 big reasons why I think joining is just the most fabulous technique that you can do. The first one, it gives your student a chance to take a break and self-regulate. If all of this has gotten to be too much for him, his processing delays, his sensory system, give him a break to be able to take care of himself. But 2, when you join, you are showing him how much you love and accept him for exactly who he is. And that's a huge part of this program. By giving him that unconditional love and acceptance, we are giving him a platform to truly let himself show himself to us for exactly who he is. And that is one of the most comforting feelings to just know that whatever happens, it's okay. It's totally okay. And that feeling, they feel that. And all day long sometimes, they don't feel that. They feel that they're different. They feel that, in other situations, in other scenarios in school, there's a lot going on. It's really hard for them sometimes. But to be able to have this moment, to not be pressured, to be able to let go and still be loved and accepted for who they are, it's just amazing. And so through joining, you're giving them this very tangible expression of love and acceptance for exactly what they're doing. The third reason is it gives us a great opportunity to really learn more about our student. What other time do we have to just be? And in fact, not only just be with them and observing them, but also to be doing what they're doing for ourselves. So if they're rocking back and forth, shaking their hands, we can too. And what can we feel? Look at this. This feels like it really is. I'm feeling the air pressure. I'm feeling my hands a lot more this way. So if I couldn't feel my hands before, this is a great way to really feel them. What else are they experiencing? How are their legs? How are they against the wall? What are they excited by? What are they doing? By joining them, you are getting the closest you can to physically experiencing what may be going on for them in their bodies. So it's a really great opportunity for you to learn more about your student, and then you can take what you're learning, what about their motivations, about what may be happening for them, and when they are engaged with you later, you can take all that information and turn it into a more connected game. So this is really a time for learning for us. And the fourth reason is that, again, it gives your student a chance to connect again, to practice and choose to come back to an interaction and to play with you and to be more engaged. And this is what's really hard for a child with autism, is to be socially connected and be engaged. So each time they're getting another chance of practicing coming back. So it's a big full circle of fantastic greatness in joining. And a lot of people worry if there's too much joining, like, oh, he was exclusive the majority of the session. Great. Maybe he really, really needed it. And if you can really be okay with that and be really okay with the joining and exactly where he's at, then those 5 minutes you're going to get of connection, even if that's all you get, are going to be fantastic, because he's choosing to connect with you for those 5 minutes. And he'll have already taken care of himself so that he can really be with you for those 5 minutes. So joining is just as important as the rest of it. So I hope that helps you. There are a lot more techniques for joining, which I can give you guys later. But the big thing is just do it with them. Do it so they can see you, so that you can watch for green lights, which we'll talk about in our next video. But really just get into it. Find something about whatever they're doing that's really meaningful for you, and really get into that with them. And even if you miss a green light, that's okay, because what your child sees then is they see you enjoying what they were doing. And of course, everybody loves somebody who loves what they do. So that's a great thing too. So have fun joining, and in our next video, we'll talk about green lights.